Good morning to you. I thought I would read out the latest PR Bites newsletter. This is the newsletter I now do Monday to Thursday on a daily basis, and it's starting to grow. But I know some people are going to be in their car or on the train, and you'd rather listen to it. I've done odd special episodes like this before, but I just like to give it another go and just see whether, as the newsletter evolves, whether you would find this valuable. There's three key things I'll run through today. The importance of flexibility in your narrative, why traditional media could be a new opportunity for smaller organizations to make headlines, and the headspace to get into when reaching out to a journalist or creator outside of actually doing a pitch. So the newsletter, as I say, I put out every day, and basically it looks back over the past 24 hours or 48 hours to look at what's going on in the comms and PR world and in news generally, to see what kind of ideas we can pull out of it and actually use. So let me read through it now. Starting off, I always have a motivation comment at the beginning because I like these myself. So the one today was, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. That's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. So let's have a look at some of the points I was doing. The first section is the I'm seeing section. And the first point was don't stick with one narrative. And it was an interesting article on PR News Online from Peter Promodru, the president of Boathouse, who said, you should never be too precious about the exact narrative that you are running. And to paraphrase him, he suggested every single day, someone will inevitably affect the conversation that you are trying to run, whether critically or positively. And simply having a rigid 6-month plan where you will say, we will do this on week 1, week 2, and week 1, just doesn't work. Yes, set big picture goals and general approaches, but leave the specific narrative to adapt to the conversation that is happening that day. Because by not connecting with where that conversation is going, which way it's led by whoever's making that comment he's saying, is that you're going to quickly start to get out of touch with what that community is talking about. And that, in turn, will mean that you start to break rapport, because if you're not talking about what they're talking about, you're not engaging with them, you're not connecting with them, and that means that you're going to lose that narrative control. Next one I spotted was detoxifying your brand. And PR Week had an interesting headline about how brands can be detoxified using the UK's general election last week as a lesson. Now, as you know, I don't talk politics in PR Bites from the Public Relations podcast, so let me give as clean an assessment of that as I can. The Labour Party, who are now in government, did badly in the last election, losing to the Conservative Party. The perception of the Labour Party's leader at the time of that big loss, and the key figures behind him, was a significant issue. Their new leader, this sort of smartly dressed human rights lawyer, has crafted this broader appeal. And politics, remember, is perception. While there are many reasons for this particular election result, it shows how the head of an organisation can profoundly affect brand perception. I mean, take Qantas in Australia, okay? Their former boss was quite bombastic, but customers found the airline's overall service dropping and prices soaring. And frankly, as a Qantas user, I agree with that. It was pretty damn terrible. The staff on the planes were amazing, but the actual airline, the company, and anyway, don't get me started. But when a more corporate leader took over more recently, the tone really shifted. And the new CEO sent out emails to customers apologising and promising change. Now, while you may not be able to change your leader, the way they come across, and more importantly, are directed by you, if they're prepared to listen, as we know that's often a problem, can significantly affect the perception of what your organisation does. Number 3 in the I'm seeing section was 60% think that marketing is pointless. Now, according to the Economic Times of India, around 60% of CEOs and CFOs don't see marketing as commercially valuable. While that is a sweeping statement, it highlights the challenge of proving the value of marketing, comms, and PR yet again. Now, of course, that also means that 40% of marketing is seen as valuable, so we need to focus on what works. And in this age where you can obviously easily measure outcomes, although it's harder in PR and comms, proving that value is essential, because these people now, the CEOs and CFOs particularly, are saying, where's the data? Now, not all campaigns are going to succeed. No campaign is guaranteed to succeed. We know that. But overall, over time, if they don't, then, well, what was the point anyway? The firm should fire us if overall the comms and PR strategy is not working. Next section, PR has a PR problem. Can you help? This is what I did last Friday. I put out a question on LinkedIn on Friday. asking if anyone would like to participate in a couple of special podcast episodes, tentatively named Comms Question Time. And the idea is to ask business people questions about their comms challenges. And this post received a bunch of likes and comments. And if you didn't see my post, then check out my feed. You can search my name, Richard Midson, Midson. But why do this? Well, there's two reasons why I thought about doing it. Firstly, almost everyone I talk to says that PR has a PR problem. The issue with a lot of PR and media content is that it preaches to the choir. In other words, it speaks to people who already agree with it. I've been discussing this with agencies and comms professionals recently, and it feels like we need to talk beyond this world and start promoting the value of comms more widely. So I thought, okay, well, what small part could I play in that? And I decided we should try these episodes. So the idea is to gather a few of you into a panel of each episode where we discuss various ideas. And yeah, I'll share the questions ahead of time. And if you'd like to take part, I would love to have you on. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Search, as I say, for Richard Midson, Midson, if we're not connected already, and let me know. Maybe we can, help to start change this perception around. So if you believe that is needed, we need to change around the perception of PR, then help me do my small part that I can, which everyone else is doing their bit on, by coming on and showing what comms can do. Here's a good story in the PR Bytes newsletter today. Did you know that comms PR actually works? Well, advertising or traditional marketing would never be able to compete with stories like this. Every firm these days has a chance of being attacked, right? Oatly, which is a vegan milk alternative company, was facing a lot of flack. And in order to attract criticism and draw it over to a place that they can manage, they set up their own trolling sites. Now, one was called, and I'm not sure whether I can say this without podcast platforms blocking it out, but a swear word which begins with F and ends with K, Oatly.com. And they set up 5 sites with different variations of this name. And by providing a site, they helped it to act as a focal point for trolling. And the fact that it generated high traffic meant that they could then attract more people searching for critical mentions of the brand online, as search engines were going to treat that site with more authority. And it allowed them to address specific concerns that people were having. In some cases, they addressed it, made humour of it, or put their hands up and said, look, we got things wrong. But no amount of paid ads could have done that. So by taking this approach, they helped to turn around the critics, drawing them in and managing criticism and presenting a more open and fun way of tackling trolling. That's comms. You can't do that with paid ads. Interesting one that I spotted in the Things Are Changing section, and it's interesting to see that CNBC is launching a new sports business vertical within their content. Traditional media was very much looking for new ways to gain advertising by focusing on specific niches to attract... Sorry, maybe I said that wrong there. Traditional media is looking for new ways to gain advertising by focusing on specific niches to attract a particular audience demographic, which they can run advertising against. This is an exciting trend because unlike traditional mass media that aimed for the biggest possible audience, which meant you had to dumb down and simplify everything, they now realize they need to niche down. So a story you may have pitched in the past, which didn't have mass appeal at the time, may now be precisely what they need in that niche focus. Watching the legacy media and how they adapt to this really competitive market they're in now is going to be interesting to see what those new opportunities are from a PR perspective. Okay, time to relax a little bit and let's have a bit of a PR puzzle and then finish off by rounding up with a bit of a sort of headspace thing that you might want to do. Here's the PR puzzle for you. So just imagine this, right? You find yourself sitting in a chair in the office of an exciting new tech startup. They're going to transform urban mobility with their new app. The office is buzzing. Over the past few days, you've put out comprehensive press releases highlighting the app's innovative features, putting pitches to content creators, media and influencers, and prepared plenty of social media showcasing the features and user-friendly interface. The office is buzzing with energy. A few hours later, though, it's flat. Despite your best efforts, there's an eerie silence. No one has published the story, apart from a few obscure blogs. The phone isn't ringing. No one seems interested. As the clock ticks, people start turning to you, to your desk, to ask, what the hell happened? Now, you could obviously take a lot of different options here, but I'm just going to give you 2 today to pick from. Do you option A, craft a series of human interest stories featuring beta testers and their experiences to share with media outlets? Or do you B, host an interactive webinar showcasing the app's features with a Q&A session for tech influencers and journalists? Let me sum it up now, because normally what I do is put this over to the next day so there's a bit of a cliffhanger for you to decide what you want. But this is why my conclusion was. I gave those two straightforward options. There's a lot you can do, but we'll stick with those. I think often PR professionals opt to host would opt to host an interactive webinar here with tech influencers and journalists. That direct engagement would help to create a buzz and provide a real-time feedback loop as well, which is invaluable for generating that kind of media interest and getting, even with journalists who have been critical, they might provide feedback that could be really useful that if you address and change and say, oh, that's a brilliant idea, we'll change that next week, they then come on board with it. Even if they'd already made up their mind, this is terrible. If you adapt to their ideas, and who doesn't love their ideas being adopted? Also in our research, I think crafting human interest stories, while compelling, may not immediately capture the urgency or innovative aspects of a tech launch, potentially getting lost in the myriad of startup news. So that's the problem with that kind of getting those stories together if you haven't already, and if they haven't really generated much interest anyway. So getting that direct connection. But I mean, given your experience, what do you think? What do you think is the best approach to doing this? And finally, the chill out, what you're yelling for section, which I always like this one. How do you feel when you get a message from a friend that mentions something you are proud of and it matters to you? It makes us all feel good, right? There's no debating that emotional reaction. You feel warmer, more inclined to communicate with them, right? And we're naturally more loyal, understanding, and sympathetic to our friends. Well, this is the same approach you can get by reaching out to a reporter outside of a pitch. It can often feel pointless or even like you're bugging them to reach out when you're not pitching. But building up that trust and relationship can mean much greater results next time. The thing is, that approach must be based on a genuine approach. It must be based on what you would do to a friend, not someone you're trying to use. It also mustn't come with a pitch. It can't say, I loved what you did in that piece, by the way. Here's a story I'd like you to consider. So think about someone today you could connect with. Picture it, right? Imagine they're your best friend. Just imagine that they are, even if you don't really know them. And you're going to have to meet them tonight for dinner. What are you going to talk about if there's no time pressure and you're not allowed to pitch anything? What would you say? What questions would you have for them? How would you connect with them? How would you reach out to someone today to do exactly that, whether that be on email, on social, or anything? What could you do to connect with them on a personal level? And that was it for the PR Bytes newsletter for today. As you can tell, there is a ton of stuff in there. I guess the advantage of the written newsletter is you can skim through it and pick the bits that you want to read and probably also read it quicker. But hopefully if you are standing on a train right now or in a car, you found that interesting and useful. And if you have any comments or questions, of course, let me know. I would love to know as well, just a reminder about that LinkedIn idea about doing the comms question time. If you'd like to join me on that, just let me know. Because I don't know, I could go into a big long tirade here, and I know you're busy, but it feels like comms and PR is not being understood now. And actually, when you look at it in the way the world is going now, it couldn't be more important to get your comms and PR right. So if you would like to help me try and get this message across, and I know I am just one small voice in a group of lots of people doing this kind of thing, from associations, organizations, to websites, to businesses. If I can do my little part of that and you can help us do that together, and I can provide a bit of a way of getting that message out there, then do let me know. Just reach out to me, LinkedIn, Richard Midson, Midson. Whatever you are up to today, have an absolutely awesome day. I will speak to you probably tomorrow, actually, because I've got a chat I had with Catherine Lucente, who I love chatting to. She's got so much experience. She's dealt with Fortune 500 companies and all this in their crisis comms. And we were having a chat the other day about it. And anyway, I'll let you hear that. I'm going to try and put that out tomorrow. In the meantime, have an awesome day. I will speak to you soon.